recording? All right, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Discover Viterbi Petroleum Engineering webinar with Professor Iraj Ershaghi. My name is Erin Tanaka, and I am a part of the Viterbi Admission and Student Engagement here within the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I do want to mention that for those of you that may be watching this as a webinar recording later on, I do want to point out that the content of this information is up to date as of today, which is November 5th, 2019. So if you're watching this later on, just keep that in mind as we go through the slides. Great. So just one quick note. You will receive a PDF copy of today's presentation within a couple of business days. So there are quite a few links, especially towards the end of the session, so no need to jot them down unless you need them right away. In addition, we do highly encourage you to ask questions during the session. All you need to do is use the Q&A panel to the right of the WebEx session, and you can type your questions in at any point, so no need to hold back. If the questions pertain to the group, then we can answer those aloud, particularly if they are pertaining to the slide that we're talking about. Otherwise, we will have an opportunity at the end of the session to answer any other questions during the Q&A session with Dr. Ershaghi. So for today's program, I'll start out by talking a little bit about the University of Southern California, USC, specifically the Viterbi School of Engineering, and then we will turn it over to Professor Ershaghi, who's going to talk about the petroleum engineering programs that are offered at the master's as well as graduate certificate level. And I will then talk about the application criteria, so what the eligibility requirements are, in addition to additional information, particularly about our online Viterbi delivery method. So for those of you that are either already know that you're planning to pursue your program online, or if you're undecided, then this might be helpful for you as well. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with information about tuition and fees, some scholarship offerings, and then, as I mentioned earlier, we'll have an opportunity to ask any other questions that you have for either one of us. So this shows you just some of our snapshots around campus here in sunny Southern California. And a little bit about USC. So we are the oldest private university in the Western United States. We were founded way back in 1880. And currently we have over 47,000 students. Our graduate student population outnumbering our undergraduates at over 27,000 students. And we have over 4,400 full-time faculty members, which does not include many of the adjunct as well as the guest lecture faculty member, or those that come and lecture within a variety of different classes and that come from a variety of different industries and backgrounds. We have a very diverse student population, so we have students from all 50 states and well over 100 countries worldwide. In terms of our location, if you're not familiar with the Los Angeles or even California area, so we are located in about a 10-15 minute drive from the downtown Los Angeles area. So we really are in the center of all the action, whether it's entertainment, arts, commerce, of course, multiple opportunities in terms of jobs and internships in the surrounding areas that are very excited to hire our USC and specifically our USC Viterbi students. So a little bit about the Viterbi School specifically. We are comprised of 8 academic departments, and so each of our master's students, as well as graduate certificate students, are housed within one of these 8 academic departments. Of course, our petroleum engineering being one of those. It's the Morg family, chemical and material science, but houses the petroleum engineering suite of programs. Our student population, so we have well over 5,900 graduate students. That includes our master's degree students both online and on campus, as well as our PhD students and grad certificate students. So as you can see, our graduate population is really the large majority of our Viterbi school. And part of that is also tied to the fact that, we are leader-funded research, so we do have a number of our PhD students, and occasionally some of master's students that engage in research, and we have over 35 research centers. And in terms of our faculty as a whole, we have 188 tenure-track faculty members, 30 of which receive the National Academy of Engineering members, including Professor Ershaghi himself, as well as over 70 National Science Foundation Career National and Presidential Young Investigator awardees as well. So some additional points of distinction that we do like to mention. So we have an international reputation for excellence, which pretty much entails that we have numerous collaborations, partnerships with a variety of different companies, organizations, and whether it's government or corporations throughout the world. And so what that really means for you in terms of the student is that when you graduate with a degree from USC Viterbi, your degree means something not only here in the US, but outside and all over the world as well. And in terms of our Trojan Family Network, you may or may not be familiar with this, but it is something that is a huge benefit and perk to being a USC student. And specifically with the Viterbi School, we have over 77,000 engineers who have graduated, either many, many years ago or more recently, but time and time again, our Trojan family is, very willing to support our students as well as our alumni, whether, it's with jobs or opportunities, and so they're a fantastic network that you would have access to, both as a student as well as an alum. And then in terms of our engineering programs that we have everything from our online, on-site, and on-campus programs, and they span from our bachelor's all the way up to our PhD programs. In addition, we also have our short courses and custom programs, which fall within our executive education offerings. So we do have a number of short courses that we offer throughout the year that are for non-degree continuing education offerings. So in addition, we do have our rankings, and although we know that they can be subjective at times, it is something that people ask. So we are proud of the fact that we are continuously ranked, top ranked. For our best engineering graduate schools, we are top 10. We're in the top 10 ranked. And then specifically for our online graduate engineering programs, we are ranked #1 for our online graduate computer information technology program, computer science, as well as ranked #2 for our online graduate engineering programs. And that actually expands for all of our over 40 programs that we represent. Give me one moment. Sure. Okay, one moment. Okay, sorry about that. For those of you, in case you cannot hear, make sure that you have your microphone is up and your audio is turned up as well. But everyone else hopefully should be able to hear me. Okay, so continuing on. So we are also, in terms of those that might be active duty military or veterans, we are also ranked #1 for our online graduate computer information technology program, as well for veterans specifically. And then in addition, we are ranked #2 for our online graduate engineering programs for veterans as well. Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry about that. So in addition, we also there are rankings, in fact, for best petroleum engineering programs. And so our petroleum engineering program at the graduate level has been ranked #8 for this year. So very proud of that fact as well. And Professor Ershaghi can speak to some of the reasons why, we are a best or top engineering program in a bit as well. So as I mentioned, we are a leader in funded research. So we have research centers that span all different disciplines and areas, and there's a variety of opportunities that our students have. Primarily our PhD students that are engaging in research, but our master's students can also do directed research as well. And so if you have any questions or you're interested in doing research or what types of research is going on at any given moment, feel free to ask those questions. Professor Ershaghi would be able to enlighten us with some of the research that's going on as well, if that is of interest to you. So I want to go ahead and introduce Professor Ershaghi. So Professor Ershaghi is the Director of Petroleum Engineering. He is also the Executive Director of the Chevron USC Center for Interactive Smart Oilfield Technologies, or CSOT, as call it. Executive Director of UKC, or USC KOC Center for Research and Education. And as I mentioned, he is also a National Academy of Engineering member, which is one of the most prestigious awards recognitions you can receive as an engineer. So thank you so much, Professor Ershaghi, for being here with us today. So we're going to go ahead and go through some questions. This is going to be a Q&A format. So, and again, as I mentioned earlier, feel free to ask your questions during the session. But the first one is going to be, so what petroleum engineering graduate programs are offered by USC? Professor Ershaghi, if you could just kind of go through the graduate programs that we have and, why somebody may want to choose one over another.
Well, thank you very much, Erin. Hello, everybody, and thank you for participating. And I hope within the next few minutes that we're together on this conference call, I can answer your questions and while I'm describing the program we have. USC's Petroleum Engineering is one of the oldest in the nation. In fact, as you may know, the Southern California area is one of the richest in terms of the oil field operations, and the school was established to satisfy the need of the operators. In 1950s, they established a master's program, and in 1964-65 was a PhD program. So currently, in our master's program, we have many who are coming from companies. These are the people who already have jobs, and they pursue their degrees to get a master's degree. Most of the time, these companies pay for the tuition. Sometimes they pay 75%, and if they're a good student, I'll cover the balance of it. We're trying to make it affordable for anybody who's really keen to pursue the graduate studies. Now, the ones who are going to be full-time on campus, if they're a domestic student and or permanent resident, basically there are ways that I can help them. But the ones who are international student, I keep a close eyes on them, and if I see that they're doing very well, if I can, and they have also interest to pursue beyond a master's degree, I prepare them by participating in various research programs, and get them ready to actually apply to the PhD, because once they make it to the PhD program, it's practically free. The tuition and the stipend will be paid. So I spend a lot of time with individual students. Every one of them is important to us, and we are very proud of the accomplishment of many of our graduates. In fact, this particular week, we're going to be celebrating that many of the graduates who are receiving awards because of the accomplishment they had. I've had that personal attention to the students in petroleum for the last 47 years, and I enjoy doing that. And I'm very proud of the fact that many of our graduates have really become extremely successful in their whatever they do. So the graduate program in the master's category has a bunch of options. The conventional master's in petroleum engineering, conventional degree also has an option that you can get a degree in a dual degree master's, one in petroleum, one in engineering management. And you need to know in an application, and you need to check with me. I will tell you what courses you have to take. Now, since 2003, we established the Chevron-supported Center on Smart Oilfield Technologies, and this is really the use of data analytics and machine learning for oilfield application. We are really the only school that started that early, and we've been very successful. There are many people who are actually have their degrees in other fields, computer science included, and they sign up for this program. You have 6 courses, and out of those you select 4 that would be elective in these fields. And the idea coming up, so that means you can market yourself to the companies who are looking for the experts in the data analytics and machine learning. We also have, to satisfy the need of this, graduates or people who would like to go into the shale oil and or basically the unconventional resources. We also have a master's in petroleum engineering with a focus on geoscience technologies. By the way, both in the geoscience and the smart oil field, we also have the certificate program. That means if you already have a master's degree and you just want to get a certificate program, you can actually go ahead and sign up for that. That's a formal degree by the university, is recognized. You can get it in the smart oil field or unconventional resources. So depending on your background, what your undergraduate degree is, I sit down with each student and we'll come up with a program. Normally, you do some required courses. These are the core courses, and they're listed here: the reservoir engineering, simulation, well testing, and EOR, and well completion, and transforming porous media. But then on the elective, you're supposed to take 9 units. But we have a list of all of the courses that are available. And of course, you go along with whatever is offered in that semester or the future semester. So on the first day that you meet with me, I will write for you to sit down and come up with a program for a year and a half. Normally, if you have an undergraduate degree in petroleum, you might finish the whole thing in a year and a half. If you don't have an undergraduate degree in petroleum, but you have it in other fields of science or engineering, it may take 2 years. And so then we'll help you to select elective courses. So if you want to go into the geoscience, besides the required courses, then we have some specific courses in reservoir characterization, technology on conventional resources, geophysics, and then also we have other classes like geostatistics. And if you want to go into just other fields, then again, what happens is only the electives that are prescribed that will change. For instance, you will see that people who are coming and they want to go into the geoscience, they have an option that to only take, for instance, 502 or 503 or 572 or any of this combination. We think is satisfying for the career that they're going to pursue. Now, if you want to go into the smart oil field, then the requirements will be a little different. Let me see, I think I went a little too fast. Can you go to the next slide? Okay. Okay. So okay, go to the next one. We covered that next one. Okay, now this is the one in the smart oil field, and again, you can see that the core courses are the same, but the specific courses that we have for the smart oil field would be the 586, which is basically the machine learning, 587, which is the smart wells, 588, which is data mining, data analytics, and of course the 580, which is the visualization. Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
All right, so okay, so we talked about this already. Next slide. And then if you want to go into the engineering management, besides the petroleum courses, there are some prescribed courses that you take in ISE, Industrial System Engineering, and they're listed here for you. As I said, if your undergraduate is petroleum, you can actually finish both of these degrees in a matter of 2 years if you're a full-time student. Full-time really means that you take 3 classes per semester.
Great. I have a question, because I know some students ask about this. So if you are in this program, would you report more so to the petroleum engineering department, or would you speak with the petroleum engineering advisor?
So the way things work at USC is that for every course you take, you need to have what's called a D clearance. On all of the petroleum courses, you see me, and then as a director, I will issue the permission for you to take that class. But there is a similar individual in the ISE department who will give you the D clearance because they want to make sure whatever you're taking is toward a degree. So there are two people who are going to be working with you, but we work very closely. But in terms of what courses they're offering and what you have to take, some advisor at the IC will help you with that.
Okay, and then also we do get the question, is it recommended to pursue, the one degree first, or the, petroleum engineering altogether, and then the engineering management courses, or does it matter?
What happens is that if you look at the profile of the students, the one who are working for companies, they're trying to finish up things rapidly, but usually it takes 2.5 years for them, because they usually go for 2 classes per semester. The one who are full-time, they want to get out of here as soon as possible. They want to get a job, so usually they want to do it in 2 years. So in that sense, it's better for them to do it simultaneously. So when you write the program, you may have 1 petroleum, 2 ISC, or vice versa. But the way it's going to work out, if you do it 2 years, you can actually satisfy all of these requirements.
Great. Thank you.
So this is the certificate program. Again, you can see that you will have the same kind of requirement in 58688. The additional courses you can take, which is similar to the Smart Oilfield Masters, would be the physical security of oilfield, which is we're the only university offering that. And then we have one which is on actually petroleum informatics. That's not listed here, but that's going to be 521. We've been offering it under the 599 designation, but that's also new because we get into the Industrial Revolution 4.0, which is automation for oil fields. So there are lots of concepts cover that. That course is actually jointly taught by Dr. Don Paul, who used to be the CTO at Chevron, and also a bunch of speakers from Intel Corporation. And again, this is the certificate for unconventional. Like again, the particular courses you take without going for a master's degree would be any combination of these. You need at least 4 of these 5 courses that you need to do.
Okay, so the next question is, where are USC Viterbi Petroleum Engineering alumni currently working, or, what types of jobs do they tend to get?
Many of our students are actually full-time employees of oil companies, and they pursue a master's degree, and that's the best thing to do. Now, if you already have a bachelor's degree and you don't have a job, you come over here. I usually help you, depending on your academic accomplishment, try to get an internship at the local companies. We have many, many companies, smaller companies in Southern California, Central California, that if you have the proper working visa, they will be interested in you. I do have students who actually work in the morning, take classes in the afternoon. So it just depends on the situation. After you graduate, the choices are, we have 800 oil companies in this country, and these are the companies who are mostly involved in unconventional, but at the same time we have the majors and we have the service companies. Now, so depending on the interest, depending whether you want to stay in California, you want to go to other states, and those are the things that you have to think about. But I can tell you this, that if you look at the profile of the students who graduate in petroleum, most of them, after they work a few years, they actually go have a startup, they're buying properties, they're drilling, they're producing. Some who get a PhD, of course, they go into the academic departments. Some go into the research, but it's interesting, most of our PhDs for the last 3 or 4 years, I can think about, they're actually working for operating companies. Operating companies, they do have some tough problems. They have to reduce the cost, improve the efficiency, and they are, advanced degree, masters or PhD. That's the reason why I think the master's degree is so popular, because you learn some skill sets that are so valuable to the companies. Every course you take, you learn a bunch of these skills. And so the idea is that after you complete your requirements, you're well equipped to be able to be a solution provider. And so they do work for companies, they do work for service companies, they do work for universities, they do for a research center. Some will have a startup, some work for the government. And in fact, in many instances, you can see there's a government control of oil and gas operation, and you may not have to be a civil service employee. So it varies.
Okay, thank you. So the next is, can a student pursue a petroleum engineering graduate program online? So I actually will respond to this question. So basically, there are two main delivery methods that you can choose. So you have your on-campus students, and so these are students that are typically pursuing their program full-time, and they tend to take 3, sometimes 4 courses per semester, and are graduating about 1.5 to 2 years. And in addition, as I mentioned before, we do have our online Viterbi delivery method. And so this typically, our working professionals are, attracted to this delivery method just because it provides them a good amount of flexibility to pursue their program from pretty much anywhere. And I'll talk more about how our delivery method works. But most students, again, because they're working full time, they do tend to take 1 to 2 courses per semester. And on average, they're graduating about 2.5 to 3 years to complete their degree. That being said, it is flexible. So, you have actually up until 5 years with the possibility to extend for an additional petition for additional 2 years if you need additional time. So, really, you are able to
Let me comment on this, if I may. Especially in the field of petroleum, it just happens that you could have assignment anywhere. It could be an offshore platform, could be in Central Valley, could be anywhere. And so USC started the distance education without using the internet. There was no internet around, by actually sending lecturers to lecture in different cities, and by actually shipping the videotape material. But since 2000 or 2001 maybe, we actually switched to the internet. And the system is really very fascinating because you can watch the lectures live. You can ask questions as the faculty is teaching. If for some reason you missed that, you can watch it at night. You can watch the lecture 10 times if you have to. All of the materials, the lecture materials, the homework, everything is posted for you. You can download them. The exams are given at whatever city you're in. We have. I think the reason USC has been ranked very high is because we have staff dedicated to this task. We don't burden the faculty. So you could be anywhere, from China to Central Valley to any place. And I think we conduct the exam. We work with the local universities to make sure that the exams are given. You don't have to be there. The exams are graded, returned back to you, so you won't even know the difference. And this has been extremely valuable. And if you look at the company employees, this is really the only way they have been able to pursue their graduate degree. And I encourage those of you who are actually having a job, seriously think about it, because the things are changing, technologies are changing. You cannot keep the same skills that you have for the last 10, 15 years. There are things so rapidly changing, and you have to be up to date. And so the certification you get by university showing that you are going to this advanced degrees really makes you much more marketable.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I think you made the next slide for me very easily. Easy, but yeah, so, as Dr. Ershaghi is saying, it is so convenient and flexible in how our Viterbi delivery method works. And again, one of the things that's so unique about our school, and specifically within the Viterbi school here at USC, is that our system is, it's proprietary. It's a web-based delivery system that we have in-house. And again, the faculty or the support that we have specifically, for our Viterbi students, whether it's technical support, homework, exams, we have exam coordinators. So, if you need to take your exam and you are working overseas for a particular time, if you know that in advance and you communicate with our exam coordinating office, they have often been able to make sure that you take your exam in a location that is convenient for you, even if you are out of the area at that time. So there's a lot of different options in terms of proctoring test centers. Some of our students have even been able to take their exams at their corporate company location, which is very convenient because if you have somebody like an HR or a supervisor that can proctor exams, you wouldn't even have to leave or have to pay for proctoring fees. But variety of different locations, whether it's community college, a local university, libraries, etc. as well. So, for those of you that might be, on the fence or debating between online versus on campus, this kind of gives you a side-by-side comparison. So in terms of the program and mission, the graduate application and required materials and the eligibility requirements are the exact same. So, when you apply for a formal admission, you're not applying for being online or on campus. It's not separate. You're applying for a degree program. So the requirements, as I said, are the same. In terms of the weekly course lectures, so essentially you have three options as an online student. So you have the live as a live with interactivity, so you're able to join the session as it's happening on campus, and that the good thing about that is being able to call in and ask your questions, and then also use the Q&A panel if you need to. And again, as Dr. Ershaghi mentioned, if you can't attend the live sessions, you can pretty much watch it on your own time. You can download and stream lectures. We even have students that say, it's really convenient because they'll watch it on their phone. If they download it while they have, internet, and then later on they don't even need the internet to be able to watch that, even while in transit sometimes. And in addition, you are also able to come to campus. So you are welcome to come and sit in on lectures. You do have a seat in the classroom. You're able to meet your faculty members as well as your peers, but it's not required. So, if you're not able to get to campus, you do not have to throughout the duration of your program, but it is an option. And so that's different from on-campus students. So on-campus students are expected to attend the lectures. They do have access to the course recordings, but that is only if there is a Viterbi student in the classroom. So our online students actually drive the flexibility of a particular course. And so they can be very popular in that sense when that's available, because everybody wants to be able to have course recordings that they can go back to and take notes, and it's a great setting tool as well. In terms of assignments, the assignments would be the same assignments with the same deadlines. You would submit them electronically, typically through the course management system. And we talked about exams and courses per semester. Degree completion requirements are exactly the same as well, so 27 to 37 units with a 3.0 GPA or above. And, because there is no difference in terms of, the key areas of mission, the courses, the exams, homework assignments, there's absolutely no distinction on your diploma whatsoever that you're a quote-unquote online student. You are earning the same exact degree as the on-campus students. So this gives you a kind of behind-the-scenes look at a classic or traditional Viterbi classroom. As we mentioned, there is a full-on team of Viterbi staff that really supports all of our Den students and making sure that what's going on in the classroom, you can see it, you can also hear it. You see the mics there, but there's also mics embedded in the classroom. So there is a camera operator that sits in every single live session. So it's not a situation where you're just left on your own to figure things out. If you have technical issues, there is a support team that can patch in, and you can reach them at any given time during the live sessions and other times as well. And so this gives you an idea of what it looks like to be able to watch the lectures on your own time. So it's very user friendly. You can jump to a certain part of the lecture if it's maybe not the first time you watched it. You can pull out easy weekly content access. There's easy navigation tools at the top as well as bookmarks. And you can even fast forward and slow it down the lectures if you'd like. So it's very convenient in terms of how you really like to watch the lectures. In addition, this shows you, what it would look like, one example of during the live session. So in this case, the faculty member is using a smartboard, so you can see them, emphasizing certain things, but at the same time, you can see all the content up close, sometimes even closer than if you were in the actual classroom. So, you don't have to worry that you're not going to be able to see the content itself. It's very visible and up front and close there. In addition, just depending on the individual courses, and we do, our students do engage in, group meetings, group projects, And so we do have a variety of communication tools that both our online students and our on-campus students use. There's a lot of on-campus students who outside the classroom do prefer to interact, whether it's via Blue Jeans, Google Hangouts, WebEx, etc. So it's just kind of the way a lot of people interact these days, especially outside of class. And so, I don't know, Professor Ershaghi, do you often have class or a group interactivity or projects, things like that?
Yeah, I think USC is notorious, a School of Engineering, that in almost every class you take, there are group projects, and we intentionally do that, making sure that even if you're a DEM student, that you are participating on a project. And it's through this project actually you learn the skills, because you put to use whatever you've learned. And so through this kind of a thing, by the time you're done, you must have done at least 12, 13 different projects, and that actually enhances your resume, because you can say you work on these things here. You did a project on data mining, you did a project on visualization, you did a project on reservoir engineering, you did a project on that. So we emphasize that heavily, and that's part of the course. Every course you take, you actually get involved in doing a project. And that's usually a group project. A bunch of students work on that together, and they learn from each other.
That's great. Yes. And in addition, aside from the group projects, being able to call in during the live lectures, being able to participate. Sometimes it's required, depending on the class, to participate in live chats and, discussion boards, things like that as well. So, there's a variety of different ways you can interact. So, we do get the question, is there any difference between earning a master's degree or a graduate certificate, for that fact, on campus versus online via DEN? And the answer is no. So, hopefully you've already kind of figured this out. But, because, again, same admission criteria, curriculum, exams, homework, graduation requirements, you are earning this exact same diploma, whether you earn that degree on campus or online. So if you are earning a Master's of Science in Petroleum Engineering, it's a Master's of Science in Petroleum Engineering. There's no distinction whatsoever. You're an online student. So the next question, a lot of people are probably wondering, so what are the application requirements and tuition and fees? So I will go over that. Keep in mind, you will want to make sure that you look at the individual program page, when you do go to apply. And again, the requirements, they stand as of right now, but, things can change over time. So if you are listening to this webinar recording, keep that in mind. But overall, an undergrad degree in petroleum engineering or other engineering, math, or art science with the assigned efficiency courses from a regionally accredited college or university are required. So, and I do want to ask Professor Ershaghi, if students don't have a petroleum engineering degree, are they required to take what courses would they take, and, typically how many courses would they need to take?
So as I mentioned in our program, you could have an undergraduate degree in any field: physics, chemistry, math, geology, and the courses you take are Introduction to Transport Force Media. You take a course in Basic Reservoir Engineering, one on well completion and stimulation, and one on formation evaluation. This is across the board is required as a deficiency, 4 classes. If you happen to have a degree in something else that it requires that you need more math, well, we require that. So, it's really, you have to customize it for every student what they should do. But these are the general deficiency courses that non-majors will have to take.
Okay. And do they need to take those before applying, or can they take them after they're admitted?
We actually don't require them to take it at USC. I have had the students who have taken 2 classes, like they say they were getting a degree in chemical engineering, wherever they were taking 2 undergraduate petroleum. I accept that. I mean, the idea is we want to make sure when you go to the class, you're prepared for the graduate classes. So those 4 courses, or equivalent those, could be transferred from any accredited college or university.
Great. And also, too, so if you do need to take those through USC, they are offered
yes,
online as well.
That's right.
So you can take them either online or on campus. So moving on, so we do have, in terms of the undergraduate GPA, so we do recommend a 3.0 and a 4.0 scale, but it's not required. So, if you don't quite have a 3.0 or above, please don't let that discourage you. But, we do encourage you to, strengthen other parts of your application that you can somewhat control at this point. So, we do look at applications holistically. So there's a variety of components that are taken into consideration. So some of those include the GRE general test. If you have taken that exam less than 5 years ago, those scores can be accepted. There's no minimum GRE score that is required though. Typically, the math portion, the quantitative portion is a little bit more the emphasis, but we do require both the verbal and quantitative scores. A resume and CV is also required, so that's something that you would upload through the USC online graduate application along with your personal statements. There's not a specific format for that. We do also require, depending on the program, letters of recommendation, so up to 3 are required. So those can come from faculty members or supervisors. There's not, a specific requirement in terms of who they come from. And then also, if you are an international student and you would need to fulfill English language requirements, so the TOEFL may or may not be required for you to take as well. So for application deadlines, the next formal admission deadline is going to be for fall 2020. That starts in August of next year. And basically you would need to submit all of your required materials, including the graduate application, along with your GRE scores, letters of recommendation, all the required materials by January 15th. And in addition, for those of you that are planning to pursue your program on campus, you will and want to be considered for scholarship consideration, the deadline for that is going to be December 15th of the end of this year. For those of you that are planning to pursue your program online via Viterbi, we do have a good more flexibility, primarily because we do not grant student visas to our online students, so we do have a little bit more time. So if you do, for our online Viterbi students, if you need additional time beyond those deadlines posted there, you may email us at denviterbi.usc.edu. In addition, if you are, fall 2020 is too soon, spring 2021 would be the next application deadline. That's going to be start in January of 2021. Sounds very far away, but it's not too far. And the application requirement or required materials are due by September 15th of 2020. And the deadline scholarship consideration for on-campus students only is going to be August 31st, 2020. So we do have some additional information that primarily pertains to our Viterbi students. So we do have what's called the limited status enrollment option. This is a great enrollment option for those that may want to get started as early as the spring 2020 semester, but need more time to take the GRE. Maybe you need more time to just prepare your application. So limited status allows those with an undergrad degree in engineering, math, or hard science or related field from a regionally accredited university with at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale to start courses as early as possible. This is where it is different from formal admission in that you do have to have at least that 3.0 and a 4.0 scale. So if you don't have a 3.0 or above, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't be admitted. It just means you need to go through the formal admission process. You would not be eligible for limited status. In addition, limited status, there's a maximum of 12 units you can take. And if you are planning to later on, apply for formal admission into a degree program or a grad certificate program, it is important to note that, there's a maximum of 12 units, and also that limited status does not guarantee formal admission. So as a limited status student, the courses you take would appear in official transcripts. If you are then later on apply for formal admission and are admitted, then the courses, as long as they are applicable to that particular degree program, they can be applied to that particular program. But you have to make sure you take the appropriate courses. You can't just take any courses you want. In addition, we do have what's called the Employer Reimbursement Deferment Program. This is for those individuals whose companies are pay for, part of their tuition, but, they're allowed to defer payment of up to 90% of the tuition until after the semester is over. So this avoids having to pay out of pocket right at the beginning of each term, but you need to have your employer reimburse you for tuition at the end of each term. Your student account must be current, and then you would need to submit all of these required materials each semester. So I won't go into all the details, but if you are interested in finding out more about this this option, you can go to the link provided there as well. So this gives you an idea of our current tuition and fee structure. So this is the same, the tuition is the same for both our on-campus and online Viterbi students because you're in the same classes. So the tuition is the same. And then in terms of the per semester fees, you will want to visit our link provided there because there are some per semester fees that you'll need to take into consideration in addition as well. Also note, the rates are subject to change over time. But we do have a Viterbi Scholarship to help supplement the cost that you may have. So we have these merit-based scholarships. They are awarded to outstanding students who are pursuing their program online via Viterbi. They are partial scholarships. They range from 1 to 4 units of tuition, and again, it's for those who are not. They're not fully funded by their employer or only partially funded by the employer. So you do need to be also pursuing a master's degree program. In terms of the funding is awarded during the academic year. You can reapply every year for future scholarship consideration. So you're welcome to apply, every year if you want. And, if you are interested in applying for a scholarship, we do encourage you to email us to find out more information. The application is separate from the graduate application, so just keep that in mind. And there are, deadlines based off of the upcoming term. In addition, we do have a Chevron USC Partnership Fellowship, and I can touch upon this, but I don't know if you want to add anything to this, Dr. Ershaghi. But these are awards. They're a substantial awards and awarding in $25,000 paid over multiple years. And so in addition to this amount that you receive, you do have continual contact with Chevron executives, with opportunities for future internships and employment. So that's huge. That obviously can expand way beyond that $25,000 amount. In order to be qualified, you must be a new or progressive degree program or PDP student. You must be a full-time residential on-campus master's student. So this wouldn't apply for Viterbi students. And then 2 scholarships are awarded for students in the MS Petroleum Engineering Smart Oilfield Technologies program, as well as other students in chemical engineering, materials science, and materials engineering. And in terms of your GPA, you do need to have an undergraduate GPA of a 3.3 or higher on a 4.0 scale. And in addition, you do need to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident of the U.S. or its territories in order to be qualified as well. So I don't know if you want to add.
So yeah, I think the requirement for being a citizen permanent resident is that Chevron is interested to hire these people. I want to make sure that there's no visa problem. They can, right after graduation, they can get them. And that's the requirement that they have, yeah. Otherwise, it's an excellent program, and once you get one of these fellowships, I think you're in good company because you constantly will have contact with the company, and then, a whole bunch of windows will open up to you for that.
So to get started, for those of you that are planning to pursue your program on campus, we do encourage you to visit our campus out here in Southern California. But of course, if you're not able to, or you are planning to pursue your program online, we encourage you to start your application as soon as possible, or also give us a call if you can't come to USC's campus. In addition, for those of you that may want to start as early as spring 2020 as a limited status student, we do encourage you to complete your Viterbi profile as early as possible. There's not a formal deadline for the limited status request, but we do encourage you to submit your Viterbi profile at least a week before the start of the term. So the spring 2020 term starts the week of January 13th, so just keep that date in mind. So now, I want to turn it over to questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them over. But we do have some, some questions that we oftentimes get from students. I do want to touch upon them as well. But in terms of students or master's students, first and foremost, so Dr. Ershaghi, if a master's student is looking to engage in research, is that something that they're able to?
Oh yeah, we actually have a special program that for the ones, usually the first semester we see how the students perform. If the performance is good, I usually make it a point to work with them on the development of research projects, and depending on how they respond, and many of them are encouraged to go for a graduate degree, a PhD or something. And some of them actually publish with me. In fact, look at the number of papers, you can see that many of our master's students publish, because that's a very important part of the resume. Yes, we do get them involved, but usually we wait one semester to see how they perform.
Okay. And what about if, if an online student is, able to come to campus from time to time, are they able to also?
We can do that. In fact, if you look at, I don't want to mention name, but we've had a number of online students who actually on a separate basis work with me on development of the paper or study. Yes, that's not a problem. Because what we do, rather than seeing me in person or any faculty, you just call in at a certain time, and through a WebEx or BlueJean, we just go over your progress and you develop your research project. It's not a problem.
Right. And then also, we do get a lot of questions of, does it make more sense to get a master's in order to increase your chances to later on get a PhD? Or, does it make more sense to go directly into a PhD program? You could actually have a bachelor's degree directly. The condition would be a little tougher because you have to compete. You really have to feel that based on recommendations you have on your GPA that you have a high potential. But we do take some people who go directly from bachelor's to the PhD program. Now, in terms of what it is, the world is changing, technology is changing. Right, for instance, this coming Friday, we have a colloquium talking about how DNA is going to be becoming a tool in oilfield application. You really have to. The continuing education is a never-ending thing. You always have to be with that. Obviously, if you want to work with a particular company, if you want a job change, all of these qualification plays a role. You want to make sure that your knowledge or you're up to date, and things so rapidly change that you really have to keep up to date as fast as you can. For instance, right now the emphasis has been tremendous on the subject of data analytics and all that, and people are coming back to school. They want to pick up those skills. And so this is something that is a personal responsibility, and to the extent that we can help you, I personally can help you, our faculty would be glad to do that for you. Great, thank you. So I think that wraps up the remaining of the questions. So, I do want to say, for those of you that are either listening right now or you're watching the recording, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us after this recording or, after this session. Those of you that are interested in pursuing a program on campus, you can reach out to viterbi.gradprograms@usc.edu. For those that are interested in pursuing a program online, you can reach out to viterbi.usc.edu. In addition, we do encourage you to reach out via phone if it's sometimes easier to ask your questions over the phone, and that's great as well. But I wanted to thank you so much for Dr. Ershaghi for being with us today, providing his insight. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us, and those of you that are also listening on the recording. But thank you so much. Take care. We hope to hear from you soon. And as we say here at USC, fight on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. You did it.